the executive management team joining via Zoom, members of the media, and everyone streaming online with us at JIS and on our page at Ministry of Education and Youth YouTube page. Good morning and welcome. I am thrilled to have everyone here today and to welcome you to a very exciting press conference. We're here for the Primary Exit Profile PEP 6 press conference, and we are happy that the highly anticipated results are finally in. After months of hard work, preparation, dedication from students, teachers, parents, and administrators, we are finally here for the results. As such, without further ado, I'll welcome our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Cassin Troop, for our official welcome and introduction.
Thank you so much to our moderator, Ms. Carr, our new Director of Communications in the Ministry of Education and Youth. I think she did a wonderful job just now, but notwithstanding, it's my joy to give a special welcome to everyone to our annual press conference when we release the results of our primary exit profile. It's a culminating period for many of us, and it has started from as early as the early childhood level right up, because we are presenting today the profile of our learners over the last 6 to 8 years, given the early childhood years when we account for those. So it's my joy, everyone, to especially welcome this morning the Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Favour Williams, the hardworking minister, and today is her moment to just share with you what we have done over the years and to hold us accountable for even greater performance as we move forward. Let me welcome our Acting Chief Education Officer, Ms. Terry Ann Thomas Gale. It is her shop today that is under review. She's heading the Division of School Services, which accounts for all the schools in Jamaica, and all the team members were on show today. And so I know she's nervous because all the questions and concerns will be laid right at her feet today as we continue to give account for the work that we do in the ministry. Let me welcome all our DCEOs, Ms. Brim, Dr. Flowers, and Ms. Witta Bailey. More so Ms. Witta Bailey, because she leads the assessment branch, and she has to work extremely hard with her team to make sure that this exam, our primary exit profile, can stand up to scrutiny, right? That it is fair, and that, of course, it is credible and valid. And they work night and day, colleagues. I can tell you, when we're just packing the things and shipping that out and making sure that we can account for every script, I hold Stacey Witta Bailey responsible for that, and she has delivered. Special welcome to you, Madam DCEO. I am proud to have you on my team. Let me welcome all our ACEOs, and of course we have two special members of our team in the conference room with us, Dr. Thompson, who's heading our numeracy team, and Dr. Hill, who heads our literacy team. We normally take them in the conference room because we know there's a focus on numeracy and literacy for Jamaica, and so they have to be held accountable for the leadership of this portfolio. So they are here with us as technocrats just to answer any questions that may come from the public. Let me especially welcome all the other members of the executive management team. You're not in the conference room, but I know you're online and I know you're supporting us. All the education officers out in the field, the regional directors, of course, you are ACEOs, so you're accounted for. And most importantly this morning, our students. I know you're beside mommy and daddy. I know you're beside your principal now. I know you're wondering what the next couple of hours will be like. But hold on a little bit more. You will have access in very short order. The minister will give you all that information in a few minutes. So special welcome to you, our boys and girls. Special welcome to our parents. We cannot do this without you. Special welcome to well-wishers and family members who have been there with our boys and girls, supporting them throughout this process. Today is a wonderful day in education. Today is a great day in education. Today is a landmark for us, and Minister will tell you why. It's first, there's a first today that you will know about. And without any further ado, before I say what I should not say in my excitement, let me welcome our Minister who will give you the presentation of the results. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right, let me also acknowledge Dr. Kassan Troop, our permanent secretary here at the Ministry of Education and Youth, Mrs. Terrian Thomas Gale, our acting Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Sophia Forbes Hall, Chief Transformation Officer. Of course, there are other members on the team, Ms. Janet Brim, our Deputy Chief Education Officer acting, Dr. Clover Hamilton Flowers, our Deputy Chief Education Officer in the Curriculum and Support Services Division acting as well, Mrs. Stacy Witter Bailey, Deputy Chief Education Officer, Examinations Assessment and Administration Services, Dr. Lorna Thompson, National Mathematics Coordinator, Dr. Andre Hill, National Literacy Coordinator, members of the Executive Management Team joining online, members of the media, students, parents, teachers, Jamaicans all. But let me say a special acknowledgement to students from Coronado Avenue Primary in Mobay, who I met last week, and they ran up to me and they were inquiring about the PEP. When will we get the results? Well, students, the results are here, and I hope your dreams are realized this morning, today. So today, we are pleased to present the 2024 administration of the Grade 6 Primary Exit Profile, and it marks the first year since its inception in 2019 that a cohort of students transitioning from Grade 6 at primary level to the secondary level will have a profile which constitutes all the components. So the student's profile will consist of scores obtained from the Grade 4 performance task, which was administered in June of 2022, the Grade 4 performance task that was administered in June of 2023, and then the 2024 Grade 6 components, which are the ability test that was administered in February of 2024, performance task, which was administered in March of 2024, and the curriculum-based test, which was administered in April of 2024. As you know, the primary exit profile is designed to measure students' attainment of the objectives outlined in the National Standards Curriculum. Through this assessment framework, we're able to provide a cumulative record of students' performance over a 3-year period by providing detailed information about students' knowledge, skills, and competencies. Teachers and school administrators are able to put intervention strategies in place to improve on students' areas of weaknesses and to build on their strengths, so that by the end of Grade 6, students are in a state of readiness for receiving instruction in Grade 7 in our high schools. So we'll begin first with the figures with regards to registration and administration. Our first slide will show that 34,927 students were registered to sit the 2024 Grade 6 PEP. Of that, we had about an equal number of boys and girls. We had 391 students who were absent from all the components that were registered. And again, it was about evenly split between male and female students. In our second slide, we present the number of students who are registered in our public schools versus our private schools. And as you can see, 30,627 students are in the public schools, or approximately 88%, versus 4,300 in our private schools, roughly 12%. We'll move on to our third slide, looking at placement method. And again, just to remind Jamaicans, students and parents have a choice as to where their students go. And if we look at the very first, well, if we look at the slot mark preference, which is where the choice comes in, you will note that this year, 86.7% of students got one of their 7 choices, which is roughly, well, 30,302 students. 3,928 students were placed by proximity to the school that they attend currently, the primary school, so they'd be placed in a high school that's close to that primary school. And this year, only 340 students were placed manually. That's the lowest that we've seen if you look back at the numbers for 2021, 2022, and 2023. We'll move now to the scoring of the exam, just to give you the component parts. And so our children would have taken, over the 3 years, some 11 tests. In grade 4, they did the performance task in mathematics and language arts. In grade 5, they did also performance task in mathematics, language arts, science, and social studies. And in grade 6, the components there were the ability tests, math, curriculum-based test and performance task, language arts, curriculum-based test and performance task, science, curriculum-based test, and social studies, curriculum-based test. The maximum contribution score at each level is shown on the table. So for PEP 4 in 2022, you could get a maximum of 40 points. PEP 5 in 2023, 80 points, and PEP 6 in 2024, 280 points. And if you look across to the next column, you see the weighting. So essentially what we're saying, PEP 4 in 2022 accounts for 10% of the score that the student is getting now in 2024. In PEP 5 would account for 20%, and your PEP 6 in 2024 accounts for 70%. Just to remind Jamaicans as to what we are testing for in these various exams, the grade 4 performance task, these tests are designed to measure students' higher order thinking skills by placing them in a real-world situation where they apply their knowledge and skills to demonstrate evidence of their competence in the subject. And again, the same applies to the grade 5 performance task. And then when you get to the grade 6, the ability test assesses how well students are able to reason with numbers and words. This test consists of 40 single select, multiple choice questions which students respond to on computerized answer sheets. The 2 skills assessed in this test are quantitative and verbal reasoning. The ability test is reported as a percentile rank, indicating how well a student performed in comparison to the other students in the cohort. For the performance task, these tests are designed to measure students' higher order thinking skills by placing them in real-world situations where they apply their knowledge and skills to demonstrate evidence of their competence in the subject. We'll go now to the next slide that looks at the descriptor for performance at grade 6. And they are color-coded. So in the descriptor called beginning, students there demonstrates limited or no evidence of required competence necessary at this grade level as specified in the National Standards curriculum and will need intensive, ongoing academic support at grade 7. The amber color is developing, or yellow, depending on where you're looking. It's developing, and that means a student demonstrates partial evidence of required competence necessary at this grade level as specified in the National Standards curriculum and will need targeted academic support at grade 7. For the light blue, proficient, student demonstrates adequate evidence of required competence necessary at this grade level as specified in the National Standards curriculum and may need minimal academic support and or extended learning activities at grade 7. And in the brighter blue, highly proficient, student demonstrates an advanced level of competence necessary at this grade level as specified in the National Standards curriculum and may need extended learning activities at grade 7, meaning at high school. So I want to pause here to say to all the mommies and daddies, if you see the red on your child's report, it means they need some extra help in the form of tutoring, after school, active lessons, more attention at home. We would encourage you to sit with them, listen to them read, but we also want to encourage you to be patient with them. Don't yell and scream at them. They are developing at a different pace, and they need your ongoing, abiding support. And when that child teacher calls, we want you to go, to listen, to hear what the teacher is saying, to see how you can support your child better. So we'll move on now to looking at the overall results. And we're looking at the overall mathematics performance distribution, PEP 6 2024. This year, 60% of our students are in the proficient or highly proficient categories. And in subsequent slides, I will show you the comparison of this year versus prior years. But we just want to focus on what it is in 2024. All right, so that is for the mathematics. When we drill down into the mathematics, we note that our students performed well in terms of modeling and data analysis. 84% of the students did well. They're in the proficient or highly proficient category. In communicating, reasoning, 60% of the students were there in those two categories. In concepts and procedures, 58%. Where we have work to do is in problem solving. And so when we go forward and when we look at the intervention that's needed, obviously this is an area in which we have to do better in. We'll move on to the next subject area, student performance in language arts. %67% of students were proficient or highly proficient in language arts for the 2024 administration of the grade 6 PEP. This was a 7 percentage point increase in this achievement level band for 2024 when compared to 2023. In the next subject area, which is science, the overall science performance distribution for PEP 6 2024, you will note that 72% of our students were in the proficient or highly proficient category. And when we look at the component parts, when we drill down, they outperform in practices. So 89% of the students were in the proficient or highly proficient category. 67% were also at the proficient, highly proficient category in the cross-cutting concepts, and in core ideas, 57.4%. So that's an area that we have to do more work in. In the science, there was a 6-point increase in this achievement. We'll move now to social studies. And in social studies, you will note that 72% were in the proficient or highly proficient category. When we drilled down into that, there was very good performance in developing questions and planning inquiries, 79% in the proficient and highly proficient category. In communicating conclusions and taking informed action, 68%. In knowing concepts, 70%. Where we still have some work to do is in evaluating sources and using evidence. 42% of the students were in the proficient and highly.
Crime is Jamaica's #1 threat. As we stay apart while working together to fight COVID-19, we must all live good and unite against crime and violence in Jamaica. Live good means talk it out, don't fight it out. We must live good to build a safe Jamaica. Stay home, stay safe, live good.
Come July, your NHT home improvement loan will increase to $3.5 million for qualifying applicants. Your government is caring for you.
Turn the children's corner and check into the Burchester Hotel. Help Super Grover save the day. Order a snack and even learn to bake a cake with Cookie Monster and Chef Gonger. It's Elmo's wonderful world, and we're living in it. Friends, food, and fun. It's always a great time. Sesame Street, Monday to Saturday inside Children's Corner on PBCJ, the People's Station.
What can a little germs do?
Pink eye running belly, even flu. Germs can make them happen to you.
Put germs on our manners with these. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Always wash your hand with water and soap. Keep dirty hands from your eyes and your nose and your mouth. You don't want to be sick, take care. Practice every day, no germs round here.
A message from the Ministry of Health.
Give yourself a fighting chance. Wear an approved helmet. A message from the Road Safety Unit in the Ministry of Transport and Mining.
Road safety impacts your life, your well-being. Almost all of us do some form of commuting on a daily basis, whether a pedestrian, whether a motorcyclist, whether a private or public passenger vehicle. We are integrated and involved in the road network, in the traffic system. And if it is not safe, then there are going to be consequences that none of us are going to like. Your well-being, your physical body is important to you, to all of us. And if there comes a chance or misfortune that you are involved in a crash or a collision, and that's greatly impacted, even the ability to walk, to run, like how you used to be able to do things with your body that you used to be able to do before you were involved in a crash or a collision, is important to you, not just in June, which is the month that is dedicated to road safety, but every month, every day of the year. We need to take due care in ensuring that once we leave home, we reach home like we left, or if not better. The number one tip that I am going to highlight is to always assume that the persons around you in their vehicles are not as good a driver as you are. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going to stop, that they are not going to drive or cut you off on the road. Ensure that you are so alert and prepared, because they say, you know what, this driver might do this. This pedestrian might actually run across the road. Sometimes what happens is that we say to ourselves, they can't really do this or that, they must stop at the red light, and then we'll find ourselves involved in a situation that we don't want to. So that's the number one tip I'm going to highlight. Ask yourself, what if this driver, this road user, should do something that would put me or them at risk, so I'm prepared for it. Another one, we always have to repeat this: speeding, improper speed. Speeding increases the likelihood that if you're involved in something, in an incident, that you're going to be physically damaged or your vehicle is going to be damaged, that there's loss of life, time and money. Tip number 3, wear your safety belt. Sometimes you're a great driver, you're doing the right thing, you're observing the rules of the road, but there's another motorist that isn't. They could collide in your vehicle, and it's your safety belt that's going to minimize the amount of harm, damage done to your body. So wear your safety belt, not just as a means of avoiding a ticket, but to keep yourself safe. Another tip, how closely we follow vehicles on the road. A lot of times we tailgate, even when we're driving at high speeds. So as soon as the person in front of us has to slow down or come to a stop, we now realize that we are now in a race for time to not rear end the other motorists. And sometimes it's not just us, sometimes the person behind us is following us too closely. So we have to leave more of a cushion in front of us to give that person behind us an opportunity to come to a stop. And the last tip I would leave with us is to ensure that we are not impacted negatively by distracted driving. And as we know, or might not, the number one distracting agent right now is the cell phone. It seems that the cell phone is more in charge of us than we are in charge of it. Social media occupies most of our awake time. However, the driving task is one where we should be 100% concentrated on it, not on dividing it with the use of cell phone, uploading videos, having conversation, sending text messages, and the like. So, as we drive, ensure that we leave the device alone, hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, mind on driving, and pay attention to what we're doing so that we reduce, eliminate any potential or possibility of being involved in a crash or collision. Remember, the life you save could be your very own.
And just to give you some examples of what the special accommodations were, it could have been just some extra time, a prompter, a reader, a writer, or a scribe, breaks throughout the administration of the test, linguistic aids, adaptation of the test in alternative formats such as large print or braille. It could also mean preferential seating. This year as well, the PEP 6 exams were administered to over 30 students in hospitals across the island. We want to thank the Ministry of Health and Wellness for partnering with us in facilitating the administration of the PEP exams in their facilities. We would also like to commend the Jamaica Constabulary Force for always being available to provide support, especially in circumstances where the exams were being administered in institutions located in volatile areas. For special needs, there were 30 students registered for PEP 2024 with special needs. These special needs included physical challenges, for example, wheelchair users, visually impaired, hearing impaired, and intellectual challenges. The unique needs of each student are assessed by the officers in the special education unit, and the schools they're placed in are evaluated to ensure that they will be fairly accommodated. And I want to say that in terms of the release of results, the ministry will continue to use the online method for disseminating student scores and placement information. Results will be made available at dpisonline.com, dpisonline.com. This site is designed to present student reports to all parents or guardians and principals of students who are transitioning from primary level institutions to high schools. So in conclusion, it must be noted that this form of assessment has several benefits, such as more accurate claims can be made about students' achievement of the curriculum and their progress will be monitored more regularly. More opportunities will be provided for teachers to identify students' strengths and weaknesses, and therefore teachers can plan lessons to meet the specific needs of students. And importantly, students can monitor their own learning. So the methods used to report students' performance in the primary exit profile provide a more holistic overview of what each child knows and can do as they transition from the primary level of education to the secondary level. The data gathered from the PEP will serve several purposes. So the obvious one is the placement at the secondary level, but it also serves as a measure of the achievement of the national standards curriculum in maths, language, arts, and science, as well as the students' ability. And before I close, I want to congratulate all of our students, their teachers, their families. I know that at least over this year, I'm sure there were instances when you felt that this mountain called PEP was unsurpassable, yet all of you did it. I want to say that I'm proud of all of you. I know that as you transition, some of you will need more intensive intervention. We know who you are as measured by this test, and our commitment is to ensure that you get that intervention that is needed to allow you to perform at your best. To those of you who are in the proficient, highly proficient categories, continue to be in those categories. We want you to continue to excel. So I call on all Jamaicans to let us celebrate the success of this milestone as our 12-year-olds transition to the very complex world of high school. They're leaving, parents, I'm talking to you. Your students will be leaving a very comfortable environment in which they are used to their class teacher. They only see one teacher. In a lot of cases, they're moving into an environment where on day one, they're going to be dealing with 10, 12, 15, 17 different teachers. They have to find their way around high school. They have to navigate their way through with all the students that are there. In some of our high schools, we have 1,400 students, 1,500, 600, a lot of students. They come from a lot of different families with a lot of different values. And I want to say to you that in high school, your child is going to need you way more than they needed you in primary school. Because remember, they are also going through a stage in which they're beginning to realize who they are. They have to begin to manage their emotions and all of that. So parents, I'm calling on you. This is not a time to let go of your child. It's more of a time to embrace and to support. Thank you. So we'll open it up now for any questions that you may have. All right.
It's on? Oh.
The platform will open at 12 o'clock today, 12 noon today. All right. So I'm told everyone can have access. Well, if you have your username and ID, if you have activated your account, so parents, teachers, principals, and again, as we wait here for questions, I want to thank all of our teachers. I want to thank our principals for the leadership in our various primary schools across the country, and I want to include our private schools in that as well. I know it's not an easy task. Lots of things happened between last year and this year, 2023, 2022, 2024 school year, but we have managed to be here to present the results to our students to allow them to transition to high school.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Camille Williams. I'm from the Radio Jamaica, Television Jamaica newsroom. And my question is, so 6 years on, has PEP achieved what it was intended to do when it was initially conceptualized? And I ask this against the background of a Jamaica Gleaner article in April 2013. The Senior Education Officer for Student Assessment in the Ministry, Alison McCollum, had said in 2013 that the advantages of PEP would be it would provide a fuller picture of a student's attainment at the end of grade 6, a more equitable measurement of assessment, as it will also test ability, thereby reducing socioeconomic bias and the effect of poor teaching. She also said it will also reduce the pressure on students at the time of the test, and it will nullify the necessity of students to revise specifically for the test, because it will be one of acquired understanding rather than a recall. So has PEP achieved what it was set out to do when it was initially?
And I would say yes. Obviously, as we go along, that achievement level will increase. The suite of tests are administered over 3 years, and so it takes away the really high-stake, one-time only testing of the past. I mean, I remember that dreaded exam. The common entrance. If you didn't pass it, you just didn't pass it, you know. So I think the way the exams are structured, are friendly to the students and acknowledge that learning is acquired over time, and it's ongoing.
Done? Yep. One last question and I'm done. So when I noted the disaggregated results, I noted that the developing and proficient, most students were assessed as developing or proficient. So you still have a minority of students achieving highly proficient, which I figure would be the ideal. So how does the Ministry of Education plan to review and improve the exams so that you have more students attaining a higher performance?
All right, so look at what was done this year. So we would have taken the grade 5 PEP and looked at it, analyzed it, and tailored the intervention to recognize the weak areas identified in PEP 5. Right? And we will continue to do that deep dive into the data so that we can help our teachers, help our students, and as we grow year after year, we would absolutely expect to see that transition into those top categories, especially the highly proficient category.
Hi, Minister. My name is Amoy Harriet. I'm from Television Jamaica. Now, Minister, you mentioned something just now about you can recall that stress you went through when you were supposed to sit common entrance. And I too, you know, a few years ago, I'm using that loosely. When I was sitting GSAT, I too can recall the stress of sitting GSAT. Now, right now with PEP exams, what we see happening is that students are being tested not only in grade 6, but grade 5, grade 4. So that stress that they would have to go through that 1 year, which is in grade 6, they're now experiencing that for 3 years of primary school. Do you believe in any way that our students are being tested too much?
Well, we look at it the other way, that we're spreading the stress out, if you will, over a 3-year period. It allows the students to understand where they are in grade 4, right? And you see that in grade 5, because once they do the test in grade 4, we can zero in on the weak areas, the weak points. Grade 5, another zeroing in, another intervention, you know, to prepare them for grade 6. So that is how we see those assessments. And I believe when we look at other countries that perform well, that we look on and we envy, they have a really laser-like focus on their children. And the only way that you can understand what the child understands is to go through these assessments. Yeah.
My final question, if I may, you mentioned that the ministry rather, will be implementing a few intensive measures for our weaker students. Are you able to say what those measures would look like in the years to come?
Okay. I'm going to ask our CEO, because I know she led the charge this year in doing the deep dive into the numbers and in coming up with this smart intervention. So, CEO?
Good morning, everyone. We will continue our interventions at the secondary level as well, because we notice based on the PEP data, we can see how our students going on to grade 7 are performing. And so the interventions will continue even to grade 7. Our students who are currently at the lower grades, we continue to look on the data, the same areas that the students didn't perform in, we will continue those interventions. The intervention saw us looking at students who perform, schools rather, with a large cohort of their students performing with 50 to 100% at beginning or developing, and we would pull the grade teachers from those schools, and we have targeted workshops based on the areas, whether it be reading and writing for language arts, whether it be problem solving for math or conceptual understanding. And we show the teachers how it is that they can pull the objectives from the national standards curriculum to develop these areas based on the levels of their students. And what we did between November last year to March this year, we had targeted approach with these teachers, and we had the monitoring that continued. Even when they went back to their class, they had work plans that they had to submit. And we will be more intense this year because our transformation agenda requires us to not only look at our students' performance, but we must hold persons accountable. So we are looking at our principals to be more of instructional leaders, and for our teachers to really look at the national standards curriculum and use it with fidelity, catering, of course, with our students in the center of learning. And our education officers, they will become more of school improvement officers, because our transformation report asks us to look at the role of our education officers and to ensure that they are more of a school improvement officers, and that's what we're going out to do now.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you to all the members of the media. You always show up to help us to carry the good news about education. Thank you.
Love is love. But sometimes love isn't what we think it is.
Just this once, why can't I come first?
I know you love it, but love is supposed to be good for you, Annie.
Sometimes you have to fight for love.
I like you, Annie.
I get the whole being in love with a wrong man thing.
Wait, you mean me?
Yes, Danny. I mean you.
You really don't need this man.
I don't understand how you can even just up and leave us during this storm, Stanley. I need you here.
I'm not leaving here without you.
Sometimes you have to fight for yourself. When there's trouble in paradise, what do? Mirrors in Paradise, Sundays at 8 p.m. and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.
Well, you're not Stan, and I'm not your woman.
Stan? Stan, you reach? It's storming here.
What happened?
Jamaicans not tolerate corruption. Me I tell you, no put up with corruption. So let's join hands across the nation and help improve the way we function. We have to give hope to them youth. Yeah. Corruption blocks growth for the future. So if we not practice doing the right thing every time, then we are the loser. So make we just get up, stand up, and all unite to join the fight to make it right. No corruption makes the future bright. No corruption will help prevent crime.
A message from the Integrity Commission.
Yo, this is we're committed to reducing the impact of disasters occurring in Jamaica. We're ever ready to assist you before, during, and after a disaster. But everybody have a role to play, so make we work together and follow the plan. Whether rich or poor or where you come from, hurricanes affect everyone, so be prepared. Prevention is better than cure. Be prepared. Listen to ADPEM. A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and